Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Derk Harron.
Back with another comics review for you guys, and this one's a little bit different in that some of you guys might not think it's all the way horror, and that's understandable. Some might say it's more of an adventure comic, but I believe there are enough horror elements in this to fully warrant us doing a review on it. But not only that, but it's actually just such a good comic that I want to do a review and spread the word about it, quite frankly. This is actually called Green Valley, and it's written by none other than somewhat notorious in certain circles, Max Landis, son of Hollywood filmmaker John Landis. Mm-hmm. And it is drawn by Giuseppe Camicoli. He's a very big artist and very talented, which he demonstrated yet again in Green Valley. So we're going to do this review as we normally do, and that is to talk about the book overall, talk about sort of the story, talk about the artwork, talk about our overall appreciation for the thing, I would say. Uh-huh. So starting off, I got the first issue of this book when it came out, and I read it, and I was like, okay, this was definitely good enough for me to warrant continuing on. And I picked it up because I know I like Max Landis's writing from having read Superman, American Alien. I have that whole series.
I do too.
And I actually loved his Death of Superman YouTube video.
Yeah.
Ever since then. And then he had some writing to do with Chronicle as well.
Yeah.
And so I can't help but follow the guy when he does his work. I loved American Ultra as well. I thought that was a really fun movie.
Yeah, Mr. Right was another movie that he
did. See, that's
did.
one I didn't actually see.
Yeah, with Sam Rockwell. Oh, it's really good.
He's a great actor, so if he's attached, then it must be good material. So nonetheless, this is a book I hadn't heard of until it came out, and after reading the first issue, you feel like, oh, this is a sort of Knights of the Round Table-ish story. It's set in that time frame. It's about 4 legendary knights, the Knights of Calodia, and they basically protect the realm of Calodia, the kingdom of Calodia. And it's the first issue starts off with those 4 guys, well, really only 3 of them in view, standing off against a barbarian horde army. Uh-huh. And convincing the barbarian horde to turn around and not fight. Like that's how badass they are. They managed to convince the leader to turn the whole army around and go home.
Well, the guy that you don't see ends up shooting off his ear with like an arrow.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got a sharpshooter, a sharp archer, as it were, in the crew. And then you've got the bearded bald man who always tells stories of dragons that he's slain or feats that he's accomplished, not necessarily dragons that he's slain.
Well, he talks about a lot of dragons, but he talks about
other feats as well,
animals that he's slaughtered too.
But that's part of what's interesting about the story, which we'll get to. So these 4 knights are very well respected, and they go back home after turning away the horde. And the first issue ends with their town being ransacked that night by the barbarian horde, and because the watchman's asleep, the horde gets the upper hand and slaughters the entire village, essentially, including one of our main guy's wife.
Yeah. Well, like the leader.
The leader, okay.
Of the 4.
Yeah, and so the rest of the book is sort of he's, completely broken because he's lost his wife. The other, the next. What's interesting is the next book picks up like a year later, after the town has been destroyed and the barbarians have been killed. You see their remains lying around as well, but the knights are broken. Yeah. And it gets so much more complicated because that's just how it starts. Right. And then all of a sudden, a wizard shows up. They hear tell of a wizard that's shown up in a town. And the knights are all like, there are no such things as wizards or dragons or anything like that. Yeah. And like, despite that one guy's stories, they know that to be the case. And so they go to this town. They're like, well, we have nothing else to do, so let's just do this, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so they go, and there's this guy that's got an iPad, essentially, that is using it to cast, like, not spells, but fire electric energy at people. And he's protecting a ship of some kind, and like you start to realize what is going on. This guy is essentially from the future who has commandeered a time ship and come back in time to wreak havoc in this era a little bit. And
well, he crashes.
Oh, he crashes. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
because
right.
he's been going around in time for so long that like it's kind of messing things up in with the timelines and everything, because he's actually stealing artifacts from history and then selling them on the black market. And so he's like this, like this time
he's just a glorified thief, yeah. But he's got this iPad of power, as it were, and so everyone thinks he's a wizard in this time.
Well, and then they also hear about his dragons, which you find out that he took some dinosaurs from the prehistoric era and it has control of them.
Yeah, it has like collars on them, control collars. And so the dragons that they hear tell of, like that the knights have to go confront, end up being some raptors and a T-Rex.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. You get knights against futuristic technology and knights versus dinosaurs, and then knights versus barbarian hordes, and like it just ends up being so cool. But the best part, I gotta say, was the story. To me, was the story of these knights, because I gotta say, after the 9th double-sized issue, so it's really the equivalent of 10 issues long, this entire series. It's a limited series, but at the end of that, I felt so wholly satisfied. Like, this was just a damn good story, and you lose people along the way, but still at the end you're so satisfied. It's just such a good thing, and you're like, I teared up towards the end of the last issue. Like, they did such a good job, and it's a story that a lot of people have to experience. So that's a really extended overall opinion on my part. So please, Dirk, how did it hit you?
Luckily I was able to read it back to back. And it's just such a page turner, and the thing is that I loved it how there was just so many surprises throughout it, and that just kept you going. Like that first issue, I think what really grabbed me was the dialogue, just how the brethren of this group of guys and just how close they were, and you could just, even though it wasn't the strongest beginning, other than when at the very end when they did their kingdom taken over, I was just let's follow this adventure and see where it goes. And then that second issue where you're just wait a minute, what's going on, and why? And because a little boy shows up and then from the village, and then comes and asks them to help out because of this wizard taking over and robbing them of their metal and stuff, and you're just okay, well, let's see what the wizard's all about. And then in the third issue, when you finally get to see the wizard, and you're just wait a second, he's wearing a leather jacket and some jeans, and he's got this this high tech iPad, and you're just wait a minute, what is going on? What is going on? And then you realize that it's a sci-fi comic. At first you're thinking it's just this night adventure, and then it turns into something completely different.
Yeah, well, there's even a time police agency. Imagine time cops kind of thing, who are on the trail of the guy trying to track him down. And that's what's the most amazing thing about this. If we had to say why it's so interesting, it's because it's a time travel story where you're telling the story of the people instead of the time traveler. The time traveler you're usually following, or the agency tracking down the time thief you're usually following. Right. And all the stuff in the past is just, set dress. No, this is the story of the people that have the time travelers interacting with them, and what would they do in that case? How would they actually think of these people? They would think it's a wizard, essentially. You know, they wouldn't immediately jump to time travel, even when one of them travels to the future and gets it all sort of explained to him. It's really interesting. Then it becomes a fish out of water issue. It's really, really cool, and it was just done so well. So, story, you agree, just amazing.
Oh yeah, especially the very ending, just how they kind of turn things around for the knights, and I don't know. Once again, it was just they were always throwing something new at you, and I was just always surprised, because some stories are just so cookie cutter, but this, I read the back because I always like to read like the editor's notes and stuff like that, and hearing what Max Landis had to say about how he got the idea. Like, even though he doesn't like really explain it, he just said that he had a picture in his mind, and then like that he searched the internet to see if like that had already been done. And I assume it's like a guy in a leather jacket in medieval times.
Yeah.
And like has that been done yet? And I don't think it has.
No.
And so that's why he was just like, I have to write this story. Like he just had that image in his mind for years, and then he did his research to see if somebody else had written that, and nobody had, so he was just like, I'm doing this. And then got it adapted.
Worked out very well. Now, let's talk about the art, Dirk. Now, as an artist yourself, I'm always curious what you think. Now, I'll just say, Kamikoli has taken a bit of time for me to appreciate to the fullest extent, but now I really do. He's a very specific style, and I really dig it at this point. It was tough for me to warm up to it first a little bit, but I really, really like it now. He gets across everything so well, and the creatures were amazing, and the effects were really cool. So I dug the hell out of the artwork. But what did you think?
Once again, like I read like this essay that the artist wrote in the back of the book, one of the issues, and he went on to say that like when he was a little kid, he played a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons, and so he was always the artist of the group, and so that's how he was always looking forward to maybe doing like a medieval fantasy story at some point in his career, because that was such a big part of his life when he was a kid. And I think, I don't know the artist as well as you do, but like his version of medieval times, his dinosaurs and stuff, they're so detailed. I love it. His backgrounds are amazing too. I just like, you really got a feel of sometimes prehistoric, sometimes like the medieval times, like at some points you're going into the future. So you're just seeing all these different points in time. And I thought it was amazing. There was actually a couple panels that you didn't even realize that were in 3D, and so luckily I had my blue-red 3D glasses, and I got to check it out, because like that was when there's like rips in time, and like they're almost destroying time in a sense. And so like I was just like, wait a second, like I can see that. There's like a red and blue,
I didn't even pick up on it when I read through it, and I've got some 3D glasses right over there too.
I'll have to show you those panels because it's really cool.
Yeah, I really want to check it out now. But so yeah, the art was amazing, and that sort of creativity where you're just throwing in 3D panels for those that recognize it, but it still works for those that don't. Case in point, us. That's tremendously incredible, and so we really, really liked Green Valley, you guys. And while again it might not sound like the most horrific of books, it's definitely one that is worth your time to check out. The last issue just came out about a month and a half ago as we record this, so I'm guessing the trade will probably come out in August if it's not already out.
I believe it said September.
September, okay. There you go. So you guys can look forward to that. I really have a hard time believing you'll get your hands on the individual issues at this point, at least not the early ones, because the American Alien issues you could not find after they came out.
I lucked out. I got them all. So
did you get the Green Valley ones?
No.
The American Alien ones. Yeah, those are good. Are you going to invest in Green Valley? Are you going to get that trade when it comes out?
I might get the book, yeah. I might get the graphic.
I mean, it's going to be worth going back. And honestly, I feel like I could hand this to my girlfriend and she'd really enjoy it too.
Yeah. No, once again, like, I think that the dialogue is so playful at first, and then you get attached to the characters right away. So. Yeah,
agreed. And it's, again, like I said, it's going to be worth revisiting. It's worth sharing with friends, because Dirk's response to me via text once he finished it, he was like, just finished Green Valley. Effing fantastic. I was like, yeah, told you. Yeah, I knew that was good. When I handed it to him, I just told him, I was like, this is like one of the best things I've read in recent years.
Well, and then you said Max Landis, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's hard not to get drawn in by that guy. He's super talented.
Yeah.
Despite some of the stories you may hear, you can't deny the talent. You just can't. So thank you guys very much for joining us. That's going to do it for our review of Green Valley. Stay tuned. We do have more comics reviews coming Fuego and I recently reviewed the third in the Dark Tower books, as well as the first volume of Hellraiser Masterpieces. Hopefully Dirk and I are going to review the Big Boy and something robot.
Rusty the Robot.
Rusty the Robot, yeah.
Rusty the Robot.
Which was written by Frank Miller and drawn by Jeff Darrow, which I had no idea about, but I found in the comic store in this beautiful oversized hardcover, so I'll show that to you guys when we review that. But stay tuned, you guys. We have lots more cool horror comics coverage coming your way, as well as the typical horror coverage we put out every single day right here on The Horror Show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at HorrorShow666. Follow us on Instagram, The Horror Show 666, and our Facebook pages, facebook.com/The Horror Show channel. Same thing as youtube.com.
And if you'd like to check out some of my artwork, just check out dirkart.com or check out my Facebook page at dirkart. So
absolutely, lots of cool stuff, including all of the cool illustrations he did for the John Carpenter cast podcast, which we keep referring to, but I keep referring to it because I want you guys to check it out. It's really cool stuff. But honestly, Dirk's done some amazing stuff. Is your Demogorgon on there too?
No, I don't think so.
I think you need to add him to the...
I'm glad that you keep telling me to add all this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make work for you, but people need to see the beauty that Dirk art produces. So check that out, you guys. Thanks again for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
Dirk Harron.
And remember, stay scared.